So right in front of us, as you can see here, this is our High Court of Penang. So back then, this High Court of Penang is also known as the Supreme Court during the British era, known as Supreme Court. But during the initial year of this, the building of this Supreme Court, it was not much in use. So back then, in the old days, this court was not much in use. Why? Because in the early days, the British, they are running on the systems. In order to reduce the cost of administration here in Penang, the time the British have used the systems of captaincy to rule the islands of Penang. So what is the system of captaincy? It refers to each of different ethnicity. They will select the head of the ethnicity to rule over their own ethnic. So example, the time we have the Malay captain who take care of Malay people. Then we have the Indian captain who take care of the Indian people, and Chinese captain to take care of the Chinese people. So all of them, they call them as Kapitan. So that time we have a lot of Kapitan China, Kapitan India, Kapitan Melayu, based on this system that runs. So all these captain, they have the rights to rule the ethnic people without need to reporting it to the British. So back then, in the early years of the British administration here in Penang, this Supreme Court was not much in use because most of the time the Chinese people or the Indian or the Malay people will solve their own dispute in their own way. They don't really report it to the British. Those cases who has been impacted the British, or where the Chinese, the clans, the ethnic captain were not able to resolve, then only they will bring it here into this court to resolve it. Right? So this court initially was not much in use, I mentioned. But you know, Chinese people, you cannot give Chinese people too much of the powers. When you give Chinese people too much of the powers, they always give you a lot of problem back then, right? So these Chinese people who gain the powers from the British back then, they get a lot of powers in these islands of Penang, and that time they start to segregate themselves. So initially they are very united, but later on, they have been segregated themselves into different clan society, or they call them as a secret society. So we have the time the Cantonese people. They are all Chinese but different dialect group. So these Cantonese people have formed their own secret society called as Gihin. And then we have the Hakka people. The Hakka people also form their own secret society known as Hai San. And in Penang, we also have the Hokkien people. The Hokkien people also form their own secret society known as Tua Pek Kong associations. So all of these three associations of Chinese, they don't get well with each other. They always fight with each other to get involved in the fights, and it creates a lot of chaos. Right? Initially, this war, it doesn't really start off at Penang. So these three society, in the early days, their fight is always on the mainland side of Peninsula Malaysia, not on the Penang state, on the mainland side. Typically on the place where they have a lot of tin minings, like the states of Perak. So apart from Kedah, in Malaysia as well, we also have another state known as Perak. Perak, it was a state that filled with a lot of tins in the old days. And there is a city, today we call it as Taiping. It was originated tin mining sites, and that time these three secret society, they've been fighting with each other for a long time, right, to gain the rights of owning these Taiping tin mining sites. So these three secret society keep on fighting. Finally, the war didn't come to Penang for most of the time at the Perak state. Finally, at the years of 1867, this war have actually came to Penang, right? And when it started off at Penang, the Yihin people, the Cantonese people, have formed up a gang with the Indian Muslim people. And these Hai San people, the Hakka gang, have joined force with the Hokkien people together with the Malay Muslim, right, to form up a huge fight. At the years of 1867, the time we have a huge Penang riots. A lot of these Chinese will kill each other, and finally the British at the time, they cannot take this anymore because this is the British territory, and this war have cost these British a lot of money. So finally, at the years of 1867, the British East India Company, they have recruited a lot of soldiers all the way from India and from Singapore as well, all the way here into Penang to stop this war from fighting. Finally, they managed to stop this war. So after they managed to stop this war, the British start to realize that this captaincy system doesn't really work that well here. They cannot give Chinese too much of the powers anymore, right? So that time they also find out that, the British government also find out that this British East India Company, they are not really that good in managing the affairs here in Southeast Asia. So that time, by the years of 1860, the same years after the riots carried out, the British government have pulled back all the powers of this British East India Company in managing the strait settlements, which is now in Southeast Asia, which is including the islands of Penang, Singapore and Malacca. The rights of own administrative, these three areas by the British East India Company have been pulled back by the British government, and they place this under the rights of the British government directly. So after the years of 1867, these three areas, the strait settlements where we call today, Penang, Singapore and also Malacca, was transferred power from British East India Company directly to the British government, right? So after the years of 1867, the war broke out, and after the war broke out and ended, finally at the years, this Chinese war ended at the years of 1875 after the Pankor Treaty was signed. The British start to realize that they cannot give all these Chinese people too much of the powers anymore. So at the years of 1890, these British have enacted a new law. They have enacted a new law. That law known as the Registrar of the Society Act 1890. So this Act of Registrar of Society Act stated that all the secret society, all the society and association here in Malaya that time, they must register themselves with the British. If not, they will be taken actions against with, right? So only after the years of 1890s, this court back into powers, because at the time the captaincy powers have been stripped off, and all the administrative power back into judgment back into the High Court. And by the years of 1900, they find out that the space of the High Court was not sufficient. So the current building that right in front that you see here, this part, is actually the old building. So initially at the years of 1805, when it initially was first built, this High Court, this Supreme Court was a wooden structures that is only occupied half of this building. Only after the years of 1900, they have expanded the whole building to the new wing there. So there is a new wing, there is an old wing here, and to the whole current structures. Because that time, by the years 1900, there are more and more cases need to be dealt by the British, so they have expanded to these whole areas. Okay.